Good afternoon, everybody. It's amazing to be back. I am extremely excited about this episode in the Wamly podcast with a dear friend of mine, a phenomenal HR practitioner, and just an all-round extremely interesting individual, Stiaan. So Stiaan, thank you so much for being here.
Francois, it is incredible being here. I must say, I'm going to be open and honest, and I think you'll get to know me like that. I am scared as hell. I'm excited and I'm nervous and everything, but I'm going to have fun. We're going to have fun.
That's it. That's all it's about. It's about having fun. And Stiaan, I remember meeting you for the very first time at Ocean Basket's, call it head office or corporate office, and thinking to myself, this individual and the way you think about HR and people and organizations and in life for that matter is just completely different to what I've experienced in the past. And a lot of our interaction and my interaction with you and the brand has just actually iterated that same environment and the way you guys are thinking about people in general at Ocean Basket. So really excited about our session. We've got a very interesting topic called do we truly know who we work with and why? And just listening to that headline, I guess I know a lot of our listeners will be very curious to understand your thoughts around that. But before we jump into that, maybe a quick intro, Stiaan, from your side around who you are and your current role.
Sure. Okay. It's going to be short and sweet because my life where I started, I'm really going to keep it short because we only have limited time and I can ramble on. So for me, where I started is I was not supposed to, or I was never intended to go to varsity. I was from a small town from Polokwane, Petersburg. And the intention for me was never to go to varsity. I went to varsity on a fluke. I went and I could not study anything. At that point in time, I could not do anything. And why I could not do anything is very interesting, and I'm going to be vulnerable here, is my subjects that I chose in grade 10 was not of the best. I couldn't do anything like a doctor. I couldn't do anything fancy, anything that will earn me a lot of money. And I ended up having a choice between HR and industrial psychology. And I went for it. I read through it and I went for it. And through the years that I started with varsity, I did my honors in industrial psych. I started working at a company in the HR department, and I just realized that human beings is such an important and such an interesting topic. And it fascinated me from then till now. And I don't think it will ever bore me. So I've worked for a couple of companies in the HR department, in the HR section. And then I ended up at Ocean Basket. And then very, very, very soon after I started, I realized this place does not have an HR department. This place has a people space, people department, a people practices department that looks after people as people and not as a resource as always knew it. And yeah, that's in very short where I come from.
That's great. I mean, we have a similar background in industrial psychology, and I think I always, when I speak with people around this subject, I say for many of us, it's an accidental profession. You know, very few individuals that you meet in high school will tell you, I want to become an industrial psychologist, or I want to become an HR business partner or an HR manager. It's this hidden, almost the secret. And it's a pity, Stiaan, I wonder if you will agree with me. It's a pity that the typical HR environment and landscape has got the reputation and the stereotype that it does have, right?
Oh, you hit the nail on the head there, Francois. It's horrible. It is horrible, and it is there. It's in front of you, and you live it every day. And the part where you said it's accidental, I could not agree with you anymore. And it's such a shame because it's such an important part of the business. And I think looking at trends going forward, big corporate, small businesses, the people segment is becoming such an important topic. It is. You can almost not even have a strategic conversation without people not being mentioned. So it is so interesting that that part of the conversation does not ever come up in a conversation between three boys or friends in school where I want to become an industrial psychologist or a psychometrist.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can't agree with you more. And I guess that brings us to the topic of the day around understanding and knowing who we are working with and why. So maybe if you can tee us up and just explain your initial thoughts around this theme, because I think now more than ever, it's so important to realize with what's happened over the last 2 years and where we find ourselves now, hybrid working models. Are we going back to offices? Are we not? How are we looking at our people? This is an opportunity to reimagine how we have worked in the past before COVID, to look at that, evaluate it, and decide what do we want to do going forward. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in your context as well around this theme.
So I want to ask you a favor, Francois. You know me as being weird and being up there. So I can really honestly talk about this for another 30 minutes. So if there's at any point where you need to pause and interrupt, please do shout at me and say no. Explain this a bit more because it does not make sense.
I
also do want
that for myself and for the audience.
Absolutely, please do that. And I think for the listeners out there as well, if I jump across topics, I really do apologize, but my head does tend to jump everywhere. So I will kindly ask Francois to keep me at bay and keep me focused on the topic because it's such an interesting topic. And the line itself, we always hear this thing that we say, I'm here to do a job and I'm going to go home. I'm not here to make friends. We are not friends. I've got a job to do. I've got this to do. And to be honest with you, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the fact that we say that I'm not here to make friends or I'm not here to get to know somebody. I'm here to do a job. You spend almost 90% of your day with this group of people. 80% of your day you're supposed to spend with this group of people. So the topic and the line came from, obviously, from the last 2 years of everybody's life. Us learning to work in a different way, us needed to adapt to the new way of living, the new way of working. And how incredible is the human spirit to have done it. Some companies have done it extremely well. Some companies have not been able to do it as well. Obviously, as I'm sure you know, our industry is one of the ones that has been hit the hardest because that is who we are. We are a company and an industry that connects, that needs to live with people, that needs to feel people, that needs to be around people. So in the moment, being separated, being in your home, at spending time with people that you thought you knew, but you've not really actually spent time with them so much. Now, for 21 days, I have to actually talk to each other in some cases. Some enjoyed it, some not. And
Stiaan, maybe if I can just stop you there and ask, for the listeners who are very familiar with Ocean Basket and probably have had many meals there, maybe give us some insights around what did happen 2 years ago from a personnel perspective. What happened to your head office? What happened to the people? We all saw many of the restaurants being closed down. Did everybody just go home?
So it's a good question, and I think it goes without saying question, because if you can imagine that a hard lockdown, everybody must go to your house or to your home or wherever you live, and our stores had to close down. All staff, we've got average about between 20, 25 to 30 in some stores, crew per store, and they've got nowhere to go. They don't have any means to work from home. Head office, support office, as we call it, as again, we break the rules. We're not a head office, we're a support office. We're there to support. That is why we exist, is to support our franchisees. And for us, it's easy because we could adapt, and we could sit at home and we could do stuff from home. We can rethink, we can look at our strategy again. We can talk to each other, we could Teams, we could Zoom. Who knew Zoom existed? But it didn't pass. Our stores did not have that luxury. Our crew in store that really lives in horrible conditions in most of the cases did not have that luxury. And they truly and honestly was stuck at home in the four walls. Some don't even have four walls, but it's truly a separation from what you know from day to day. So yeah, and as we all know, it was within 24 hours or a couple of hours. I can't even remember what the deadline was or the effective time was between he announcing it and it happening. But it affected every single crew member in the store in the sense of their life changed overnight. The uncertainty, it is the uncertainty of what's happening next week, what's happening the day after tomorrow. And that goes for both saying franchisees, our owners, our store managers, our everything. Don't know what's happening. Yeah. A lot happened. A lot of companies, I think in that first 3 weeks after everything, the hard lockdown, I think a lot of it was on the fly. We had to figure it out as we go. Nobody had a written COVID manual that, on the 26th of March.
Yeah. It was a scary time, and thankfully it seems like we're moving past that now and slowly returning back to normal. Stiaan, what did that allow you from a people perspective to consider, reimagine, relook the way that you believe one should be dealing with and handling people? And did that affect at all the way in which you are dealing with people now?
So I want to bring it back to our topic of the day, because I think that leads into why the topic says, do we truly know who we work with? And COVID created this thing about we lost complete connection with each other. Yes, we could still talk to each other. We could still phone each other. We could still send a letter through the post. Well, not in South Africa, but we could still be in touch with each other. And now slowly getting back to some sort of a normal, which hopefully will become normal or the new normal, as I don't know what we're going to call it. But the thing that happened, in my opinion, is, and this is truly my opinion, looking at people, observing behavior, is we went from being together to being completely separated. Some people do enjoy and do flourish in that environment. They do. We have to acknowledge it. And a lot of people did, at the time, make life changes to accommodate this new world. A lot of people decided the city is not for me. I need to move a bit away. And we and everybody else thought, cool, you could still perform your full function by not being 20 kilometers from your office. You can do it from being on the outskirts of the city. And for me personally, I've got this real thing in my head about what being together is like. It's such an important part of human beings. And not everybody knows it, understands it, acknowledges it. I've got a very weird, and sometimes people don't, it's the coffee story again. I tell it a lot, and the people that really truly knows me knows my fascination with coffee. And I want to share this story because I think it will sum up the theme. So I truly love coffee. So I'm a coffee lover. I'm a chocolate lover. And everybody that knows me in the office as well knows that I make myself a cup of coffee from my machine every morning. And I do offer to everybody else. I make coffee for everybody because it's not for me about the coffee. It's never about the coffee. It's about the fact that I can serve, I can be there for somebody and make them something because they have a meeting to go to, they have something to do. And me making the coffee connects us and brings us for a half a minute, couple of seconds. We are together and we quickly catch up. We are there, we are in each other's faces. How you been? How's yesterday? How was last week? How's the little one doing? Maybe there's a little one in the family. Stuff like that. We don't realize that what that quick debrief means every morning or in the afternoons or whatever. So for me, being together, get to know each other will create context in the environment that we work in. And context is such an important topic, or such an important element to whatever we're doing. And getting back to the second part of the phrase or the statement is, do we truly know each other and who we work, why we exist, why we are there, why do we live in each other's world? Because you will realize when you have a conversation that lasts more than 30 seconds with each other, you realize that I play a role in your life as well. Like you play a role in my life. We could be completely different departments or sections or business units or whatever we want to call it. But somewhere in life, we do affect each other's world. And that is why it's so important to keep connected.
Yeah, Stiaan, I can't agree with you more. And I think what comes to mind if I'm listening to your story, is the argument for connection and the responsibility that we have as an HR community, especially now when we have this opportunity to create, let's say, a hybrid model or the different way of working in the new world of work, which is a label that gets thrown around so often and we don't always understand what that means. But it's very difficult to argue that the human connection in the world of work is extremely important, one, but then also two, in your opinion, Stiaan, what then, if other organizations and listeners listening to this agree with you, in your opinion, what are some of the techniques or practical things that we can do to foster these connections?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to do to the listener, but I don't know. We don't know. It's something here we don't know, because we always had the connection and then we didn't. Now getting it back, we don't know. I think the most obvious one, and I truly share what our brand leader, Grace Harden, is an incredible mind, incredible thinker, incredible leader of people. That is a speciality. And something that we are going to try or going to do is the most obvious. It's just bring everybody together in the same place. I think if we overthink it, if we overcomplicate it, we're going to lose each other. We're going to try and get an initiative that is too thought through, too complicated. Just bring everybody together physically in human being, in their being. So for us, we've got a lovely home that we go to, which we call our office. Francois, you've had the pleasure to be there. You would agree that our home is who we are. It is a setting where it is not focused. None of us has an office. Nobody's got an office. Grace Harding does not have an office where she goes and sits every day. It's a shared space. We have big open tables in the middle of our office where we could sit and be together, eat together. We are a food restaurant industry. We love eating together. We love sharing. We love being together. So there's space at our office to be together, to live together. And what better is to just bring everybody there. Just be there. Some will go to a corner. Some will be on their earphones, like I'm at the moment. Some will just sit randomly in the middle of everywhere because they love the energy. They love people talking. There's music in the background. The fact that we will be together will force us to see each other and talk to each other.
What I am hearing, Stiaan, though, is, when you say, let's be together, there are many ways to be together. But what I'm hearing from you and what I've personally experienced being at the Ocean Basket support office is that your together means something. And that is directly in line with the brand and the values. And if you go to the careers page around the type of talent you want to attract, it's talking to the strong family culture with strong values around sharing, caring. And what actually transpires in your support office is you can visually see that. And irrespective if you're in the hospitality industry or not listening to this episode, I think what's super valuable for our customers and our listeners is to go and understand and decide, what does my culture need to look like? What do we envision this to be? And then what behaviors, environment, habits, rituals, routines can we then, from a day-to-day basis, very easy, small things, incorporate or implement that then shows whoever joins us comes in that brand and culture?
Look, I'm going to disclaim from the start, I'm not a culture specialist. That is absolutely Grace's speciality, and that is what she has done really well. And look, we are all changing, and it's a world of changing. And yes, we need to adapt. We will change, and we're not perfect, and nobody's perfect, and all of that. But I do agree with you. It is so important that the culture is defined well, and whatever you do, your behaviors, your habits will drive towards a specific culture. If you want X, you have to drive behaviors, you have to drive habits in order to get there. You can't just have a piece of paper. Francois, if you remember, we actually spoke about this. You did a lovely representation of a culture, your culture. And I think I did say to you that it's awesome. I'm so excited. What now? What next? How do we get there? How do you get there? What behavior do you drive? What habits do you drive for not you, but for your employees, your crew, what you call them, your colleagues? How do they see it? How do they
Yes.
see it? This,
Yes.
not hear it or read it. How do they see it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think, Stiaan, sometimes when we talk about culture and brand and environment, it can become overwhelming for HR, especially when they feel it's their responsibility to drive this. But I think what I'm hearing today in this conversation is that it can be very small, practical things, right?
absolutely. It's the small things. It is absolutely the small things. I want to give you an example of something that at Ocean Basket we do is when we've got guests, we offer them biscuits or we give them biscuits. It's something as small as providing or giving biscuits. That's it. Showing that we are giving you biscuits. Thanks for visiting us. We truly are interested in hearing what you have to say, what your opinions are. And that we do with our colleagues as well. We do it with our team members, our suppliers, our partners. We do it with everybody. And we expect the small things to be done. Show kindness. Say happy birthday. I think I shouted there. But say happy birthday. Care. If there's a birth in the family, celebrate the birth in the family. Small things. It is small things. Say thank you. Say hello.
Yeah.
Small things.
Absolutely.
Always the small things. It's never the big things. The big things will come. The clever people will sort out the big things. We all can do small things. And you would have noticed everything that I just said doesn't cost money.
Yeah, 100%. Stiaan, if I go back to the topic around, do we truly know who we work with? Obviously, getting employees into an organization will forever be a big topic of conversation. Attracting talent, hiring talent, bringing them into the business, understanding if they will match the requirements of the role, but also the requirements of the organization and the environment. What are some of your thoughts around looking at that and making those decisions?
Sure. Okay, so for me, the thing about, I just want to also say, and I think I've said this, and maybe it's the right time to say it. I hate interviews. I hate interviews. Francois, I think I've said it. I hate it. It's, for me, it's got, I know, and most people will most probably disagree with me, and it is okay. But I hate it because it's a half an hour or an hour that we are trying to get to know each other, to know if we can live together. We speak the same language, if we think the same way. In half an hour, in an hour, I've been married for 6 years and I'm still starting to get to know my own wife. 6 years. So the whole concept of interviews, I have a weird thing in my head about. And yes, it's obviously important. So the way we approach interviews, the way we approach getting new talent, it's such an interesting environment. And I don't have the answers, and I don't know who has them. I hope there's clever people and smart people out there, because I'm not going to be the one that tells you how to. I just know some companies does it very well, and some companies doesn't do it very well. And some companies has got a star in 100. It's one person that just feels it and just works. I also do believe that, and this is also, Francois, I think we've spoken about this as well, it's people's life change during the course of employment. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. We could fit the company at one point and not anymore in 5 years' time. And it's okay, because it might be that I've changed or the company's changed. It is okay. Makes it a hell of a different difficult for the company. But it is the fact of human beings. It's again the way we are built. So I don't have a solution for interviews and getting talent. I don't know.
No, that's cool. I think what I'm rather after is your thoughts around the topic. And the one thing, if I can clarify, please correct me if I don't understand that correctly, is you as an organization, you encourage people to not stay in roles for too long. Is that correct?
Well, we encourage the fact that you need to be able to improve yourself, yes. Self-learn, get yourself a new skill. The world is changing, the business is changing. Now, if that means that your fit with inside of the organization changes, and that's different, that is okay. So we don't encourage people to stay for 2 years and then leave. We encourage people to self-develop, that's to self-learn. And we need to understand that might lead to you growing outside of the company.
Which brings us back to
maybe fitting into a different scenario. It is what it is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that brings us back to, do you know who you're working with? Because if you know who you're working with, you can clearly see if they are developing, and if they are not, why not? And are we providing tools, resources, support to help employees develop and grow?
100%. And this is what gets me excited about our industry. We're not boring. No. HR is not boring. It's not boring. So 100%. So the moment we get to know each other, we could live together. We can develop each other. We could plan each other's lives forward. You might be somebody, we've got a couple of people inside of the organization that started as a cleaner. They are working currently in our finance department. And the journey that they followed from being a cleaner to being in the finance, it's all because we know each other. We get to know each other. We get to know each other's strengths. We get to know each other's areas where they perform a little bit better. We know each other's areas where they don't perform. And one of our key principles is that we have tough conversations. We need to be able to tell each other, listen, this is not working.
Yeah. And
this is what needs to be done about it. So getting back to the topic about, do we truly know each other? And do we know why we exist in each other's lives? Do we know why we are there? And what value we can add? It will open up so much conversation. It's such a difficult conversation to have, because we always think, oh, I must protect myself and I must always make sure that I am important. And let me be very honest, I'm one of them. I'm one of a very sensitive person that also always wants to defend, always wants to prove. Yeah. That's how I've been brought up. But it's not always how it should be. But knowing each other, living together, seeing each other, seeing where you've come from, where you are, the potential you have. We are talking about career planning. We are talking about succession planning. We are talking about performance management. We are talking about policies. We're talking about everything that could be justified, defined, talked about just by knowing each other. And obviously, as you mentioned earlier, knowing the culture, knowing the purpose of the brand you with, the company that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. So Stiaan, there's so many things to deep dive here. I'm trying to think. So what would you say if a large organization who's listening now goes, but it's easy to do this when you're small, but it's not easy to do this when you're a big corporate? Because that's an easy thing. That's an easy comeback, right?
So first of all, I hope you didn't call us corporate. First of all. So look, the scalability and the way you implement it. Again, as I said, I'm not a specialist on the doing it. All I know and all I feel in my heart is we are all humans. Even if we are in a big company or in a small company, we are all humans. At the core, we are humans. We want to be feel important. We want to feel important in somebody else's life. We want to make sure that I add value. I want to be said hello. All of that stuff. If it's a big corporate or if it's a small company, how easy it is, I'm sure it's a lot harder to do it in a big corporate or big company that's got 12,000 people compared to 12, because you've got 12 personalities and 14,000 personalities. I get that, but sure, just being kind to each other, being human to each other, can't be that hard, can it?
Yeah, I agree with you. If I look at that and if I were to answer that, for me, it goes down to the interaction. No matter your size, there's human interaction. And whether this be on exco level, exco with middle management, ground staff, when I'm walking into the building and there's the receptionist or the security guard, when I'm bumping into someone I've never met before, introducing myself, whether I'm working with my direct reports, in that interaction, there's an opportunity to be human and to get to know someone. And for me, size will not matter if that is the mindset and the approach of the individuals on a connection level in the organization.
Think about this. If we just said hello to each other properly, the first word you say to each other, and now I'm going off in a tangent. If you think about going to a place, an engine garage, or a wherever, a spa, a pick and pay, just saying hello to each other properly will set the tone for your entire conversation.
Correct.
Even if you had a bad day, we all have bad days. We all have bad days. As you listen to this, I'm sure you had a bad day. It's Friday, by the way, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. Here where we are now, but just saying hello properly. Yeah. Just saying hello. If you see each other, greet each other. Stuff like that, small stuff. Being together, having a coffee together, going for coffee together. Yeah. Maybe just go for coffee, or say, let's not talk about work. Let's just have coffee. Let's just have fun.
That's it.
It can set up so much other conversations to happen. It will build trust. It will build relationship. You might need it going forward.
That's it. Stiaan, I'd love to land the plane here and end off by asking you, in your opinion, when the listeners are listening to this and they are inspired, they are encouraged, are motivated to now go and foster those connections, or at least be the catalyst to try and run with this idea of, guys, let's bring the connection back, especially after what we've been through the last 2 years. Where can this individual start? And definitely not asking for a theoretical textbook answer, just your gut feel. Where can this HR practitioner start to bring back that connection? Again,
it's from in my heart. I honestly, truly believe, as I've been saying, it's just be together, like physically try and be together with all of our protocols, with all of our stuff. It is doable. We see it every day. Just be together. That's it. I know in a lot of bigger companies, it is more difficult because we live all over, or we can only have 10 people in one space, but just be together.
Be together.
Spend time together. Talk to each other. Call each other. Say, I'm going to be at the office. When are you going to be there? I've got a lovely colleague that, by the way, my favorite dessert is the lemon meringue. That's the other one. For everybody, everyone's super. So every time that she comes to the office and she knows I'm there, she brings a lemon meringue. It makes my day. And now I'm list for lemon meringue, by the way. It's small things like that. It's small things like setting up, giving me a text. Are you at the office next week Tuesday? Yes, I am. I'm there. Great. I'll see you then. Bring a lemon meringue. Something that we tend to do is just bring something to the office for everybody to share. It could be a dessert. It could be anything. It could be something small. There might be somebody that doesn't appreciate it, but there will definitely be something that definitely will appreciate it.
Amazing.
Just be together. Just come together. Francois, on that, when are we getting together again? We have to be together. We have to have a conversation. We have to talk. There's so much stuff to talk about. 100%. We have to solve the world's problems.
100%. No, I absolutely agree with you. And I think it's refreshing to be reminded that in this day and age, connection still matters. Even though we've got all the technology in the world is this big. Through technology, we're able to work anywhere, anytime, but that human connection is still so critical in determining the success of businesses as well. So Stiaan, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been fantastic just picking your brain and hearing how you and the Ocean Basket world approach life. So thank you so much for giving you your thoughts and your time.
Francois, thanks to you. Thanks for inviting me. It's so much fun always talking to you. Well done on everything with you guys. I just want to mention that well done for everything that you've done, that you guys are going to do. It is incredible. I am such a fan of you. It's such an inspirational thing that you guys are doing, and I love it, and you know that I love it. And thanks so much for inviting me. And thanks so much for us spending some time together.